Welcome to the NBA draft here on Telling It Like It Is. You're going to have to excuse me today. Going to have to look away a couple of times and go over all the notes I have. So sometimes I won't be looking at the camera, which could be a good thing for you guys. See all my gray hair. But interesting draft coming, a lot of trades because we live in the age of if my team isn't good enough, I'll try to go buy another team instead of working together and getting better. So there'll be a lot of trades maybe. So there's already been some. It's already been a horrendous trade. I don't know what the Pelicans are thinking. Giving up a better center for a worse center and Bledsoe. I don't know. You're going to put Bledsoe and Adams around Ja Morant. I mean, oh my goodness. That is going to be explosive. After you saw how good Ja Morant is in the playoffs this year. Incredible player, as we all know. And just explosive talent. So that's going to be a huge problem. So got my basketball life shirt on today. Got Magic in the background over here. All right. And, some drafts are explosive and have depth. This one's pretty good at the top, but a lot of unknowns. Everybody was so distracted with COVID this year. But the first pick, obviously, we all know goes to the Pistons. And I have to say, Kate Cunningham, they've been offered a couple of things to try to get out of this pick. But let me tell you, when you look at this roster, oh my goodness, there are some rosters you look at. I mean, 20-52 last year, only 72-game season. Obviously, Kate Cunningham's a great player, but if you look at this roster, I mean, Jones, Magruder, Josh Jackson, Sadiq Bey, Jermani Grant, Isaiah Stewart, Mason Plumlee, Jaleel Okafor. This is not a good roster. This team is many, many, many years away. You can't even be that pumped up about this pick. Hopefully they take Cade, who's a great player, makes everybody better. But wow, not a good situation there. If we go to the Houston Rockets here, you'll see that they're 17-52. All right, they got a big choice here: Mobley or Suggs. Mobley, I think, could be a great player. I think that that could be something really special, Mobley, one day. If you're a Rockets fan, you have to be very excited. And the reason you have to be very excited is looking at this roster here. Eric Gordon, John Wall, who I think is very underrated, still has a lot left. Kevin Porter, Kenya Martin Jr., and Christian Wood. If you look at their record with Christian Wood last year, obviously very good. If they could re-sign Avery Bradley, such a pro, he's a pro's pro, I think he'd do a great job. But Suggs or Mobley fits right in here. If I'm them, that's a tough choice. And they also have later picks. All right, but if I'm them, I have to take Mobley at this point. Mobley is a freak of nature. I know I love Suggs too, but I have to go with Mobley here. It seems to be easier to get a good guard than a gentleman his size who can play. And I know he's not a traditional center or anything. We don't want him to be, but wow, just an amazing player. But you have to really be excited if you're a Rockets fan because you have a bunch of picks, 23rd pick, 24th pick. And I know there was 17-55, but I really believe Christian Wood and guys like John Wall and Eric Gordon can definitely help. And like I said, if you could find a way to have a team option on Avery Bradley, that would be great. So that's very, very, very important. Third pick obviously goes to the Cavs, 22-50 last year. Again, they're in the wait and see mode, which is a lot of these teams because they have to see what's available. And if you look, Suggs, Mobley, Barnes, all right, see what they're in. And on their roster now, got Garland and Sexton. So that backcourt, and I know Sexton has been involved in talks being dealt. Isaac Okoro is a very nice player. All right, we've still got Love and Nance Jr., but, Love's better days are behind him, but I still think he's an effective NBA player. But at the same time, this roster is pretty good going forward. Obviously, it's not good right now. Anybody who goes 22-50 is not in a great place, but do you go with Barnes or Suggs? If Mobley's taken, then I got to go with Suggs. But then again, you already have two great guards. But the way the game's going today, does that matter? I mean, look, Portland Trailblazers didn't take Mike because they had Clyde. Well, suppose they took Mike. Mike and Scotty won a lot. Mike and Clyde would have won a lot too. So I think you got to take the best available player at that point. But at the same time, that's a philosophy that the organization has to figure out on their own. And this will be a very interesting pick, very interesting draft tonight. Toronto Raptors pick at 4, 27-45. And again, they're really at the mercy of the other teams and what's left. Very strange roster. This could change in a hurry. Obviously, Van Fleet signed. Siakam is signed. All right, Baines is signed still, but not really a great roster here. So if you scroll down, free agents, Kyle Lowry, obviously a big free agent. It's all about signing Gary Trent to a large amount of money. I'm not giving him a large contract, but they definitely have some room for improvement. This is not a good team going forward. Van Fleet's got a lot of miles in those legs, and so is Lowry. So if Lowry wants to stay, I'm not going to give him a great deal because, again, you talk about a lot of miles on your legs. And a volume shooter at the same time, even though he's an NBA champion. Another team you got to really be excited for at the 5th pick is the Orlando Magic, 21 and 51. But I'm really excited for this roster here. They're looking at Kuminga, who is a great motor, great athlete, great player. I'm really looking forward to watching him play. But they have an interesting roster. They have some guys who've been cast out kind of from the NBA world. Michael Carter Williams, who was a very good player at one time, I still believe in. Cole Anthony, Markelle Fultz, talk about being cast out. Oh, my goodness. Dwayne Bacon, I love, competes every day. Jonathan Isaac, I love, competes every day. Wendell Carter Jr., Mo Bamba. If you're a Magic fan, you got to kind of be pumped up about this. I know the East Conference has gotten a lot better, but they're not losing a ton of restricted free agents. All right, Moritz Wagner. I mean, they could lose an Otto Porter Jr., but I don't know. I'm pretty pumped up if I'm the Magic. If the Magic could maybe pick up somebody who's a little bit of a veteran scorer, maybe in the mold of like a Jay Craw or somebody like that back in the day there, they could definitely be a factor. If I'm the Magic, I'm really excited. The Magic and the Rockets going forward, you got to be excited. And even Cleveland, because of those guards in the backcourt. If they can keep everybody together, I think you got to be pumped up. OKC has a ton of picks. They're next at 22 and 50. They're looking at Barnes and Mercy and the mercy of the rest of the picks. When I say mercy, I mean, of course, we're speaking about what's left. You really got to be ready to react to what's in front of you. And, OKC got Kemba Walker, I think is great. And Gilgeous Alexander, I love, one of my favorite players in the league. I think that duo together could do good things. Obviously, they're going to need a little more than that because the West, as we know, is very loaded. On the free agency front, they didn't lose a lot. Okay, but looking at my notes over here, they're not going to be. I would definitely look into Barnes. Of course, Jalen Green obviously as well. I think Jalen Green is an interesting guy because he went and played in the G League, and I think that getting a sense of pro ball kind of helps him in a lot of ways. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what Jalen Green does. This is going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. And Jalen Green, what he's doing is trend setting going forward. Why fake going to class when a lot of kids aren't really going to school for an education? Anyway, if you're an NBA player and you want to get an education, I'm fully behind that. But a lot of them are going there to play basketball. So let's be honest. Let's call it what it is, the hypocrisy of it all. And go play in the G League, make $150,000 or whatever he's making there, try to get some endorsements, and basically learn the pro system for a year. I'm very interested to see, and this is going to force legislation down the road as far as, how many years you have to give to college. If it ever gets to that, I would like to see the kids at least give 2, but that's a story for another day. But very interesting situation there if you're OKC. Golden State, obviously, is a team that has Klay Thompson coming back, but again, old legs, 39-33. If I'm them, I go to get Mitchell or Kispert. They got the 7th pick and the 14th pick, so they are sitting pretty in a lot of ways. They got Weissman coming back too. I mean, good Lord, this is, got a good roster here. You still got Pascal, you got Green, obviously Weissman, you got Wiggins. I mean, this is a good roster. This is a team that I think will be pretty good. Looney's got a player option. I'd like to see him stay. Kelly Oubre Jr. I'd like to see stay, but he's unrestricted. If they can keep those guys together, though, they could be a threat in the West and obviously have a chance to make a run in the playoffs. I don't know if there's enough up front there to be a championship team, but we'll have to see. And the Warriors, like I said, Mitchell plays so hard. Oh, my goodness. I love guys like that. It reminds me of a smaller version of Latrell Sprewell. Obviously, Latrell probably a little more athletic. Never saw Latrell get tired in my life. But or Kispert, but I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, that's a great option. That's why this draft is so interesting tonight. Again, Orlando back at 8, and we already talked about the Magic, and they're looking at, they're probably looking at Wagner here. All right, Franz Wagner. All right, Michigan forward. For me, I wouldn't go that way, but there seems to be a big time love affair with this guy. So we'll have to see in that regard. Sacramento, Sacramento Kings, obviously, really excited. One of my favorite players, De'Aaron Fox, on the team there. Again, they're looking to try to get Wagner, but we'll have to see if he's available or not. But under contract here, Buddy Hield has been mentioning some rumors with the Lakers. Um, Damian Jones, was King, Harrison Barnes, still a serviceable player. Marvin Bagley, got to stay healthy. Got to keep improving. We'll see. But De'Aaron Fox, obviously a very good player. And again, sorry, I apologize for looking away from the camera, but all the notes and things I have to look at to make sure we do a quality job for you here. We got Hassan Whiteside, who I still believe in as a player, and Mo Harkless can score the ball. So we have to see. But Sacramento, interesting position to see what they're doing. Obviously, the Pelicans just gave away a lot. I don't know what they were doing. Thank God we got rid of Stan. Stan Van Gundy was the worst choice for that job, and I was proven to be right. Not a big fan of Stan. They're looking at Trey Mann here, you know, and they're looking at him as a possible option here. And I think that's a good idea. 40% from deep last year. Again, great roster, but they did just lose Adams and Bledsoe. So of course you still got Ingram. Of course you have Zion. Ball is a free agent, and they did get Valanciunas back. Not back, but they did get Valanciunas. Josh Hart is restricted also. So New Orleans better be careful here because I think they had a great roster, and I think they panicked here. Instead of just getting the right coach in there and maybe letting these guys grow up, should have kept Elvin Gentry in the first place, but they didn't. And you saw how that went. So this team better be careful. I don't think they're putting enough around Zion at the moment. Maybe they're trying to move up tonight. I'm not sure, but giving away Bledsoe and Adams is not going to help. I know they're worried about clogging up the middle, but Adams is one of the best centers in the league. Aljunas is good too, but Adams is better, and Bledsoe obviously is a pro's pro. And with Zion, he's going to score whether Adams is in there or not. So for years, we had guys clogging up the lane and they'd be able to play together, and still both would be successful. And I think that they could still both be successful. So I just don't like what the Pels are doing with their roster right now. Then we have the Charlotte Hornets. A friend of mine's a scout for the Hornets. That's a pretty exciting time for them. 33 and 31. Again, they're really in the waiting game right now. All right, under contract, they got LaMelo Ball, Rozier, who I love, Miles Bridges, Hayward, obviously, Caleb Martin, Cody Martin, PJ Washington, who I really like, Vernon Carey Jr., who I think is going to be a sleeper, very good scorer in the post. Malik Monk, restricted free agent. I love Malik Monk. I think he's a hell of a player. Biyombo, unrestricted. And it's going to be interesting. Devontae Graham is restricted. So I feel like this is a big draft for the Hornets, who they can make some deals here. But I definitely think you need to reach out and find a way to get Monk back, and also see if we can get Biyombo back. I think he provides some good depth up front. So again, apologize for looking away from the camera here, but very important that we be able to have all the notes and things of that nature for you. And San Antonio Spurs, 33 and 39. They got Jake. They got Jackson and Jones. They're looking at the J&J guys. They got Kai Jones and Duke forward Jalen Johnson. That's what they're looking at. Under contract, Trey Jones, good backup. Lonnie Walker, the fourth, obviously, still a good player. Podol's a good player. We got to see. Murray, I like as well. Free agents, Rudy Gay is a guy they need to re-sign. I think DeRozan they need to re-sign. And, I don't know what their plan is with that. Trey Lyles has not really ever developed into what we thought he would be. So we have to hope that he gets better. But if you're the Spurs, they're kind of in a transition phase and really need to be wise with their pick. After that, you get the Pacers, 34 and 38. And the Pacers, again, are at the mercy, really, of what's going on in front of them. Okay, so they would love to have Moses Moody, all right, Josh Giddey from Australia. So, but they still got Malcolm Brogdon under contract. We got T.J. Warren, who hopefully will be healthy this year. Miles Turner, who I'm still a big fan of. Sabonis. I think there could be some good things here. And Karis LeVert. So I really expect some good things from the Pacers. They don't lose a ton this year. I would like to see them take a step forward and try to keep improving as a team. But I think the Pacers are on the right track. And again, the Warriors, we already talked about it, 14 and 7. So the Warriors are in good shape. and poised to make a good run, I would think. But we'll have to see. We'll take it again. Everybody's at the mercy of who's available. Uh, the Wizards. The Wizards are an exciting team. That's a team that I always look forward to watching during the year, and what the Wizards are going to do. I mean, I know that Beal wants out, and that's a shame because I thought him and Westbrook found a little something at the end. They're looking at Zaire Williams and the kid Duart from Oregon. I think they're looking at him. And like I said, they got some talented kids here. But again, they're going to be losing some guys that lost a big year in free agency here. Alex Len, who started to play pretty well. All right. Lopez also out. Ish Smith. And Cassius Winston is restricted also. So big year for the Wizards. And again, OKC at 16 is back. You have to be excited again. If you're OKC, they have some mobility here with the cap and things of that nature. And they have some guys who can play on the roster already. And I really like Kemba in the backcourt with Alexander. I think that's going to be a sleeper backcourt. Memphis is the team you really got to keep an eye on here. I think they're ready to go. They made that deal. I thought that deal was a steal. I guess what they're going to look for right now is probably a kid who can stick it off the wing. So you have to pay so much close attention to Jean Morant there. I mean, Tyus Jones is a good backup. I mean, this is a good team here. They got now they got Bledsoe. Okay, you got Allen's been a good player for them. Anderson's been a good player. Clark is a good player. I mean, this is a team that's ready to move forward, and I'd rather be really pumped up if you're a Memphis Grizz fan. I mean, you got to be excited. I know I'm excited to watch them next year. OKC at 18. Again, we talked about that team's roster. Let's go to the 19th pick in the Knicks here. Knicks went 41-31, obviously, and great season. The fans here are hoping we get a free agent like Lillard, but as a New Yorker, I don't know if that's going to happen. Obviously, the Knicks roster turnover is going to be huge. Ntilikina is free, Payton's free, Bullock's free, Rose is free, Taj Gibson's free, Nerlens Noel is free, Mitchell Robinson has a team option. So they have to take care of some business. I definitely think you got to bring back, obviously, Derrick Rose and Mitchell Robinson have to be your first two priorities to bring back. Obviously, I'd like to get Bullock back and Nerlens Noel back, but what are they looking at in the draft? The kid from Illinois, Io, I mean, he looks like he's going to be tough. But the thing is, they really got to take care of what they're doing with this roster because they have the biggest outflux of free agents on their roster of any team in the NBA right now. The Hawks, after a great run, getting to the conference final and then getting a little injured, or else they might have been the chance to have the NBA champs. They might go with the kid Cooper from Auburn. Their roster is obviously a very good roster. Let's look at their free agent. Chris Dunn, who has a player option and wasn't even really healthy this year. Don't forget how good a player he is. And obviously John Collins is restricted. And they need to fulfill that spot. Lou Williams, obviously, is a guy that you always want to bring back. So you really just got to watch the Hawks. They just got to add a piece here or there, and they will be right back maybe, although sometimes it's hard. The Knicks again at 21, still looking for those perimeter shooters. The Knicks offense really took a hit. At that 22nd pick, we got the Lakers here. And you always hear Laker talk. All the LeBron fans just can never stand the fact that, they have to go out and get some more help. And the cry is always that, he never had enough help, but that's garbage. Under contract, Pope, Kuzma, Davis, and James. They only have 4 guys under contract. Wesley Matthews unrestricted. Caruso's unrestricted. McLemore, Schroeder unrestricted. I'd let Schroeder go. He didn't seem to be too happy there. Markieff Morris. Harold's got a player option. Drummond's unrestricted. I mean, Drummond I still think has a lot to offer. So the Lakers got to get some perimeter guys. There's not enough guards in this team. Last year, I never saw a roster with less guards, and I never saw a roster less athletic than the Dallas Mavericks in my lifetime this past year. Had a good year and scared the Clippers to death, but that team was so unathletic. I mean, you got to have a little athleticism here at least. I mean, jeez. Rockets, like we talked about here at the 23rd and the 24th pick. Very exciting times to be a Houston Rocket fan. I really believe in them going forward. The Clips, 25th pick. Of course, they're really being held against their will right now, and they'd like to get Trey Mann, but what are they going to do? What is what's the stud going to do? What's Kawhi going to do? I mean, Patterson's unrestricted. Kawhi's got a player option. They'd love to get him back. Ibaka's got a player option. Batum's got is unrestricted. Cousins, I think you got to cut bait with. I don't know how effective he is anymore. Reggie Jackson did some good things for them, but if you give him a long-term deal, is he still going to be that productive, hungry player he was last year? Well, we got to find out, and that's the beauty of that. Denver, I think this is the team that I can't believe they lost their whole backcourt, and people forget that in the playoffs they lost their whole backcourt. This team is so talented, and got to re-sign Barton though, and really find a way to bring him back. Austin Rivers, I think, did some great things for them. I always liked JaVale McGee as a player, so I really like to see them get back into the mix here. Millsap, I still think is a good player too, and we'll have to see what they're going to do. Brooklyn, obviously, is going to need some more players. They have a mass exodus on their roster here. Obviously, they got the big three there, but Dinwiddie's a free agent. Brown's a free agent. He's restricted. Jeff Green, Blake Griffin. All right, so they have a big exit from their roster. But don't forget, they need to take care of Spencer Dinwiddie. But Dinwiddie's saying he wants $100 million. I don't know if they could be able to afford him. So Dinwiddie's a guy on the move probably. But really exciting stuff. Philadelphia 76ers, obviously, I try to go through this fast. I hope I'm not going too fast. I hate these draft shows that are 4 hours. But obviously, the Sixers are ready to go. I think the beating up on Ben Simmons needs to stop. The guy's still a very effective player. Yeah, sure. Does he need to get in the gym and shoot better? No doubt about it. Under contract, still got the bulk of the team back. Free agents, though, Danny Green is a free agent. All right, so this is a team that, I don't know. Like I said, if Dinwiddie wants 100, I don't think the Sixers can afford him. But what are the Sixers looking at in the draft? Well, the Sixers are probably going to need, like everything else, another guy who can stick it because you have to help with those great players they have. So they really need someone who come out there or be a rotation player for them. I don't know if you're going to get much more than that. Of course, the runner-ups, the Phoenix Suns. What did they do this year? Obviously, they had a great run to the finals. Let's see what they're doing. What's Phoenix looking at? Phoenix is definitely looking at some tough things themselves. I mean, they got some tough decisions to make. Phoenix, let's look at Phoenix roster. Okay. Phoenix roster got, well, Chris Paul's the big deal in the Phoenix roster. You got to do something with Chris Paul. Obviously, he's the guy we got to talk about here on that roster. Is he coming back or is he going to sell out and go to the Lakers? Talk about how much this meant to him. We'll come back then and prove it to us. All right. And by the way, not a top 5 point guard of all time. Lucky to be in the top 10, but now at least the rest of the world knows it besides myself. But under contract for the Jazz, I think the Jazz got a nice team, but again, Mike Conley's free. Niang is free, and I think they're both good players. What are they looking at? Again, you're looking for a rotation kid who can maybe come off and help you and see if they can hit a couple of shots for you. The kids, Michigan State's got the kid Henry. Auburn's got the kid Thor. Looking at him. So the draft tonight is not really full of depth, I would say, after the first 10 or 11 picks. It's a lot of standing and waiting around. I think there are some diamonds in the rough out there. But again, it depends how you want to play. And if you think about drafts and good fortune or not, a player is really affected by the style of play and the approach of the coach. So let's give you some examples from just teams and trades over the years of how players get affected. If you go back in the early 80s and look at a guy like Kelly Tripucka averaging 22 points a game for a good start of his career there, all of a sudden gets traded to the Utah Jazz where he averages 12 to 15, I think, once, and then after that he's vanquished to the bench. So all of a sudden a guy who scored 21 to 22 a game for many years, including a game of 48 in the 80s when they still did play some defense, all of a sudden is relegated by a different system, and a coach has, one man's treasure is another man's garbage, is the old expression. So you can be affected by the coach and how someone coaches you. So if you look at a guy like that, for example, and I always look at a guy like Hurt, the kid from Duke. I mean, the kid is very skilled, obviously physically very weak, slow feet. Obviously, the big guy from Iowa, he's going to have real trouble in the pick and roll, does not move his feet well. But if he's a guy that can score for you off the bench in the low post in those 5 or 6 minute chops, maybe you could throw the ball in there to him and he can maybe get some. He's a big boy, and he could definitely get someone on his back and finish and maybe kick out for an open jump shot if they start to collapse. So there are some picks out there that could be done. I really feel like there's some There's some decent players out there, but again, it's a strange draft because again, everybody's Gonzaga up, and I understand that the big guy went back to Gonzaga, and everybody talks about Wagner and Suggs and Mobley and Cade Cunningham and people of that nature. The Florida State kids I really like. So the draft in that first round is going to be interesting. But again, where do these guys wind up? Well, that's the key. So let's look at the prospects here. I mean, some kids who come out who, Jesus, I mean, you just wonder what they're doing and what the advice is. What's Booknight going to do? I mean, I really like him. There's nobody really talking about that on the top board there. What's he going to do? I mean, I think he's going to be a hell of a player. I really like him a lot. Like I said, we just mentioned Garza. We'll see what he's doing. The kid Hauser, good player from Virginia. I don't know. Is he going to be able to play at that level? Maybe not. Jalen Johnson from Duke, very athletic. I'm sure he turned off a lot of people, but someone will give him a chance when you have those abilities like he does. People will always give you a chance. So we're going to watch. I really like Trey Mann from Florida, and I love Mobley. Moses Moody I like as well. I think he's an underrated player. I'm looking forward to seeing who gives him a shot. Robinson Earl will be a good player to watch. I think a kid from Nova at 6'9", I think is being a little kind. I don't know if he's that big, but I'm really looking forward to seeing where he goes. I think he's a quality player. And if you look at the list here, I mean, it's just so many great players out there. But at the same time, Moses Wright from Georgia Tech, another good player, undersized post player, possibly in the NBA, come off the bench. Zaire Williams off the bench. Obviously, so we're going to have to see how these guys match up and things of that nature. So we're going to have to see. Not everybody's going to get their opportunities on draft night. I know it's 2 rounds. We'll come back and talk about any news after the draft when it happens. Right now, it's 11:19 Eastern Standard Time. So if there's anything crazy, we'll come back tomorrow and we'll talk about it after the draft tonight. Last summer league game for the Sharks tonight, and the win will be 7-3 for the Sharks. That's a monumental thing because when I got the job a couple of years ago, that wasn't happening. So we're going to be have a chance to do that tonight. And once summer league's over, we get in the gym 3-4 days a week until the fall sports start, and we'll get back at it. So give us a shot. Listen, Spotify, Apple, iTunes. All right, you can watch the video. We're on Anchor as well. Give us a shout out. Instagram. Don't just click you like. Watch the video. Give us a shot. Subscribe. It's free. Let us know what you think. Don't forget, if you are a fan of a football team who's a little more obscure, like if you're a Seattle Seahawk fan, reach out. Let me know. I'll have you on. You could be part of my Seahawk preview when I do it. I like to find one fan of each team. But again, that's a diehard fan, a fan who follows the team every day and knows the ins and outs like I do for the Vikings. So we'll see you along the way. Thanks.